So in the last video we talked about ring strain in small rings, cyclopropane and cyclobutane, and the origin of that ring strain being the bond angle strain. In this video I want to talk about cyclohexane, because cyclohexane rings are very common in natural products. Because cyclohexane is effectively strain-free, in its most stable conformation, it's very prevalent in nature. So we know that a planar cyclohexane would have a lot of hydrogen-hydrogen eclipsing interactions. To avoid those, we will rotate around some of the carbon-carbon bonds. And if we rotate around the carbon-carbon bonds by, for instance, pulling this carbon down, we can change the dihedral angle so that it's essentially a staggered conformation looking down that bond, and also a staggered conformation looking down that bond. So we've changed it from planar to a structure that we would refer to as a half chair. So if we were to draw it in planar representation so that we were looking kind of down the edge of it, we would see something that looked kind of like this, which had all the eclipsings. And you will actually see cyclohexane represented in this kind of planar representative in sugar. And it has a name. These are referred to as Haworth projections. This is not the true structure of the ring, but it's useful in some cases, especially in sugar chemistry. So what we're going to do is, instead of having this one in the same plane, we're going to drag that one down and have a structure that looks something like this. Which is referred to as a half chair conformation. When we do that, we change the hydrogens on that end carbon so they're no longer equivalent. This hydrogen is pointing out away from the molecule in what's called the equatorial position, and this hydrogen is pointing straight down, kind of towards the rest of the molecule in what's called an axial position. So it's just like pointing towards the poles on the vertical on the globe, or out towards the equator globe. So this has reduced the amount of eclipsing strain, because now we have these two carbon-carbon bonds on the ends that are in a completely staggered conformation, and we have a little bit of staggering in the carbon-carbon bonds in the middle, but we still have eclipsing strain over here on the other end of the molecule. To reduce that eclipsing strain, we can pull the other end up, thus giving a fully staggered conformation on this end as well, and that will have the effect of having a fully staggered conformation along the carbon-carbon bonds that are not in the plane board as well. And you can see, since I've color-coded them, that effectively what I get is I get 3 green ones, hydrogens sticking straight up, and 3 straight down in axial positions, and then around the center of the molecule, around the equator, I have the 6 white hydrogens that are pointing out in the equatorial positions. This is what's called a chair conformer. And the chair conformation is the most stable. Because all the bond angles change from 120 to 109.5. I'm going to do that. And more importantly, all of the carbon-carbon bonds are completely staggered. effectively strain-free, almost as if it were not in a ring, where you can rotate it and you can have everything in a completely staggered conformation. So the big question is, how do you successfully draw the chair conformation of cyclohexane? You're going to have to become a little bit of an artist in order to draw these effectively. There are plastic templates that you can buy that have cyclohexane where you can just sketch it, but it's worth learning how to draw it yourself. You'll notice if you look at the model that these two carbon-carbon bonds are parallel to each other. And these two carbon-carbon bonds are parallel to each other. And these two carbon-carbon bonds are parallel to each other. So essentially what we have here is we have three sets of parallel lines that we're going to be drawing. We want to keep as many atoms in the plane of the board as possible, and the maximum number of atoms we can keep in the plane of the board is 6. The 2 hydrogen to the carbon on one end of the molecule and the 2 hydrogens and the carbon on the other end of the molecule. So to start drawing a chair cyclohexane, you want to start by basically drawing the roof of a house, right, as if you were drawing the roof of a barn. And then you're going to draw a line emanating from here that's at an angle of maybe, 15 degrees or so. So if you were kind of thinking of this as being on a horizontal, you might want to be shooting for about a 30-degree angle here, and about a 45-degree angle here, roughly, so that you have a net 15-degree angle between the two lines. You then want to draw a line out that's parallel to the other carbon-carbon bond. So if I call this carbon 1 at the end, carbon 2 and carbon 3, carbon 4 would be the other end, this is carbon 6, this would be carbon 5. I want my bond between carbon 2 and carbon 3 to be parallel to my bond between carbon 6 and carbon 5. I want my bond between carbon 3 and carbon 4 to be parallel to my bond between carbon 1 and carbon 6 because it's the one across the ring. So I want to draw a line out here that's parallel to this, and then I want my bond between carbon 4 and carbon 5 to be parallel to the bond between carbon 1 and carbon 2, so that I have 3 sets of parallel lines. So the carbon 2,3 bond here is parallel to the carbon 5,6 bond. The parallel carbon 1,2 bond is parallel to the carbon 4,5 bond. And the carbon 1,6 bond is parallel to the carbon 3,4 bond. I don't know if you can tell. I'll make that blue instead of green so it looks more different. So we've got 3 sets of parallel lines. And we've got an angle of roughly 15 degrees between the 1,2 and 1,6 bond, and also between the 3,4 and 4,5 bond. Then we want to put our hydrogens on there. Only carbon 1 and carbon 4 are actually in the plane of the board. Carbon 2 and 3 are actually coming out in front of the board, and carbon 5 and 6 are going behind the board. So we're looking at this molecule kind of from this angle, but tilting it just a little bit. So this carbon-carbon bond between 5 and 6 is above the carbon-carbon bond between 4, or from 2 to 3. If I've drawn it correctly, my axial positions will be vertical. So I can put axial hydrogens on the top of the ring by pointing lines straight up. And you'll see that it kind of looks like it's about 100-degree bond angles, 120-degree bond angles here between the carbon-carbon hydrogen bond, between carbon 1 and 2 and the axial hydrogen, and between carbons 3 and 2 and the axial hydrogen. That's what you're shooting for. You've got about 120-degree bond angle between the carbon 3,4 bond and the carbon 4's axial hydrogen bond. We will also have axial hydrogens that are pointing straight down. One on carbon 5, the pass is behind the carbon 2,3 bond. So the axial positions are pretty simple. They're vertical lines. The equatorial positions are the ones that are a little bit of a challenge. And when you put the equatorial bonds in there, what you want is you want your bond from carbon 4 to the hydrogen to be parallel to the bond, the carbon-carbon bond once removed. Or in other words, not to the carbon-carbon bonds that are attached to the carbon from which the hydrogens come. So I want my carbon-hydrogen bond from carbon 4 to the hydrogen to be parallel to the 2,3 bond and to the 5,6 bond, which are the ones I have in yellow, to come out like that. Put my hydrogen on there. It's fairly easy on the ends. Again, I want this one to be parallel to the 2,3 and the 5,6 bond and have my equatorial hydrogen coming out that way. When I'm starting on carbon 5, I want my carbon-hydrogen bond to be parallel to the 3,4 bond and to the 1,6 bond. And I want it to be pointing away from the center of the ring. Because if you look at this molecule from the top, you can see that all three of these hydrogens on the right-hand side of the molecule are pointing away from the ring. And all three of these hydrogens on the left-hand side of the molecule are pointing away from the ring. So I want to draw my bond out parallel to the 3,4 bond and pointing away from the ring. Similarly, when I'm starting from carbon 2, I want to be parallel to the 1,6 bond and the 3,4 bond and pointing away from the ring. I want to come out like that. And then when I'm starting from carbon 3, I want my carbon-hydrogen bond to be parallel to the 5,4 bond and the 1,2 bond. So it should come out like that. And it should be parallel to 1 emanating from 6. It should be parallel to the 1,2 bond coming out like that. You'll notice that that puts 3 of the hydrogens that are in equatorial positions, the ones on carbon 2, 4, and 6, kind of angling down. Those are below the ring. Those are on the bottom face of the ring. And 3 of the hydrogens in the equatorial positions, the ones on carbon 1, carbon 3, and carbon 5, angling up, which means those are actually on top of these 3 here, the axial hydrogens on carbon 2, 4, and 6, and these 3 here, the equatorial hydrogens on carbon 1, 3, and 5. And then on the bottom of the ring, I have the axial hydrogens on carbon 1, 3, and 5, and the equatorial hydrogens on carbon 2, 4, and 6. So that's a nicely drawn cyclohexane grid. Two things you'll notice about it is that there are no hydrogens drawn in the center of the ring, which is good, because there are no hydrogens actually in the center of the cyclohexane. And there are no kind of really short acute angles, right? There's no hydrogen drawn off in this direction, pointing towards the center of the ring with a very acute angle between 5, 6, 1 and C. If you look at the ends of the system, you'll see that it kind of looks like a W. There's a W here, and there's a W here. This one's a little bit more obviously a W from the same, but this one's a W if you go underneath it. Cyclohexane, though, doesn't take just that one conformation, because it was arbitrary that I chose to pull the carbon-hydrogen, or the carbon on the right-hand side of the molecule up and push the carbon on the left-hand side of the molecule down. I could equally well have decided to push the one on the left-hand side of the molecule up and the one on the right-hand side of the molecule down. And you'll notice that the difference is that now the green atoms on my cyclohexane are in the equatorial position and the white atoms on my cyclohexane are in the axial position. So the mirror image of that conformation is also possible, which I can draw by simply changing the still three sets of parallel lines. I color code them the same way I color coded them before. You'll see that the carbon 2,3 bond is parallel to the carbon 5,6 bond. The carbon 1,2 bond is parallel to the carbon 4,5 bond. And the carbon 3,4 bond is parallel to the carbon 1,6 bond. But now, carbon 1 is up on top, and carbon 4 is down on the bottom, which is the opposite of what we saw. We still have vertical lines for the axial hydrogens. And our horizontal lines that come out from the equatorial hydrogens, we still want to have parallel to the carbon-carbon bond once removed. So the bonds emanating from carbon 1 and carbon 4 will be parallel to carbon 2,3 and carbon 5,6 bond. The bonds emanating from carbon 2 and carbon 5 will be parallel to carbon 3,4 and the carbon 1,6 bond. And the lines emanating from carbon 3 and carbon 6 will be parallel to the carbon 4,5 bond. And the carbon 1,2 bond. So this is conformational isomerism. And there are two equal energy chair conformations in cyclohexane that completely invert the equatorial and the axial positions. If I hold carbons 2, 3, 5, and 6 in place, I can take this chair and convert it into the other chair by rotating carbon 1 up, followed by rotating carbon 4 down. And I've just switched all my axial positions to equatorial and all my equatorial positions to axial. I still have fully staggered conformations. You'll notice that as I did that, I actually went through an alternative where I had both ends sticking up, which is called a boat cyclohexane. A boat cyclohexane is less stable than chair cyclohexane because you haven't actually eliminated the eclipsing strain on carbons 2 and 3. So there's still eclipsing strain between these two hydrogens, and actually also between these equatorial hydrogens. If I look down the carbon-carbon bond, you'll see that the axial hydrogens are eclipsed with each other and the equatorial hydrogens are eclipsed with each other. Whereas if I look at one of the ends, then I've got my 60-degree dihedral angles again. So I've still got 4 eclipsing strains, 2 here and 2 there, that I haven't relieved. And the other problem is I've introduced a transangular strain where the hydrogen in the axial position on the top are in conflict with each other. This is a steric strain if you look at a space-filling model, and the combination of the transangular steric strain and these eclipsing strains that are not relieved causes the boat form of cyclohexane to be about 6.9 kilocalories per mole higher in energy at the chair. And in fact, the boat form isn't actually a minimum on the energy diagram. If you look on page 142 of your textbook, and you start with chair 1, chair 2, the boat is here, but it's a high energy transition state between two lower energy forms. Here we have our half chair as transition states for one chair being converted to the other. As I take the one end and flip it up, it will go through that half chair conformation. That's a fairly high energy on its way to the boat. And then I'll go through the other half chair conformation on my way back to the other chair. But there are minima in between. Right? The boat form is 6.9 kilocalories per mole higher. The half chair form is 10.8. Half chair is 10.8 kilocalories per mole higher. But there are these two minima here, 5.5 kilocalories per mole higher. They're what we refer to as twist boats. So the minimum energy conformations are the two mirror image chairs and a pair of mirror image twist boats. The boat is actually a higher energy transition state in between the twist boat, 1.4 kilocalories per mole higher, than the two twist boats. And then the chairs, the half chairs, are even a little bit higher than that. So what does the twist boat look like, and why is the twist boat such a favored conformation? I think you can see, if you look at this, that in the full boat form, the two hydrogens in the center, in the axial positions, are pointing at each other pretty badly. We can relieve some of that transannular strain by twisting them away from each other, like so. When we do that, what we've done is we've taken the carbon 2,3 bond and the carbon 5,6 bond and made them so they're no longer parallel to one another. In the boat form, they're parallel to one another. In the twist boat form, they're no longer quite parallel. That releases some of the transannular strain, and it also changes the dihedral angle from 0, dead eclipse, to a little bit off, right? We now maybe have a 20-degree or 15-degree angle. So we've relieved some of the eclipsing strains on these carbon-carbon bonds between carbon 2 and 3 and carbon 5 and 6, and we've reduced some of the transannular strain. Drawing the twist boat, however, is a little bit of a challenge. So to draw the twist boat, we start with the fact that we know that the carbon 2,3 bond and the carbon 5,6 bond are actually no longer parallel to one another as they were here. But slightly at an angle, where the carbon 5,6 bond passes behind the carbon 2,3 bond. And then on our ends, we know that we have this kind of conformation where the carbon-carbon bond, the carbon-carbon bond is from 2 to 1 and 6 to 1 way up, as do the bonds from 5 to 4, 3 to 4. So our twist boat in the carbon skeleton looks like that. Our hydrogens are here, but now one of those hydrogens is kind of coming out, and the other one is a little bit back. So they're no longer lined up directly, they're off a little bit. Our equatorial positions come out roughly parallel to the bond once removed. Right, so roughly parallel to the 6-5 bond here, and roughly parallel to the 2-3 bond here. And then we have axial hydrogens that are pointing straight down. And equatorial hydrogens, again, that are sticking out kind of parallel to the bond once removed. And our twist boat looks like that. It looks a little bit like the court jester. You can imagine putting a little smiley face down here. He's got his little pom-poms on his hat. So the twist boat is slightly more stable than the regular boat because primarily of this reduced transangular strain. But also a contributing factor is now the reduced strain between the equatorial hydrogen coming off carbon-3 and the equatorial hydrogen coming off carbon-2. These two carbon-hydrogen bonds are no longer at a 0-degree diagonal angle. And there's a mirror image twist boat that could be drawn kind of the same way by just changing which one of the bonds is the forward and which one is the back. So here carbon-2,3 is the one that angles up to the right. Here carbon-2,3 angles down to the left. And that would change which hydrogen is the one that's going back behind the board and which hydrogen is the one that's coming out in front of the board. Thus, I won't put the rest of the hydrogen. So you'll want to devote some time to practicing drawing the chair, the twist boat, and the boat form of cyclohexane so you can make it clear to me on the exam what you're trying to display.